Welcome to OSG Live, where we inspire you to fall in love with your business. Get set to join your hosts, Tanya, Becky, Kylene, and Aaron for your weekly motivation. It's time to share your wins, express gratitude, and choose positive changes. Jump into the comments and share your thoughts with the rest of the OSG community. Coming up, OSG Wellness Super Tools to nourish your mind and body, small business success gems to uncover hidden gems of business excellence, and the uncommon mindset to challenge the status quo. Your journey to success and happiness starts now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to OSG Live. We're super excited to be here. As you can tell, we are missing someone. Becky decided that she needed to go on vacation.
And she didn't take us.
Yeah, super happy for her, but I really wanted to sneak into her suitcase.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
I agree.
We're really excited about today's show. I'm not sure if I said it or not. I'm Tanya Doyscher from Gracie B. Doodle Designs. And next is Kylene.
And I'm Kylene Montgomery with Rise, Shine, Smile.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and I'm here to inspire you guys to love your business with this crew. It's the Fab Four is when we're missing somebody, but I think we're going to do just fine. And definitely excited for Becky to be on vacation. I don't know if you guys saw some pictures, but I did see a couple of pictures of her first day. I'm sure, Tanya, you did. I haven't shared them with Kylene yet. So congrats to Becky. Hopefully she's enjoying a beautiful, they're in Maine, if I remember correctly, right, Tanya? Yeah.
And she had lobster mac and cheese last night, and it looked absolutely heavenly. I was super jealous as I was making poached eggs.
Yep, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, should we get started with gratitude here?
Let's do that.
All right.
Yes.
So we start with gratitude because gratitude is our superpower. When we're in that state of gratitude, we're in a state of abundance. We start attracting more good things to us because we're paying attention to all the amazing things that we have in our life. And so why not start our show at that state of mind? And so today I would love to share that I'm grateful for technology. I'm just grateful that I'm able to build all these friendships and relationships with people all over. And technology allows us to do that. We're here using technology so we can share all this goodness with you guys and be able to connect with like-minded people. So before I pass this along, those of you who are listening, please share what you're grateful for today. We'd love to hear it. So Tanya, do you want to share what you're grateful for today?
I do. We talk about our tools in our wellness toolbox every week, but I really had to use mine this week. So I'm really grateful for those tools because there's been a couple of situations this week that in the past I probably wouldn't have handled that great, but I was able to take a breath and handle them a lot better. Good morning, Becky. We were just talking about you. And good morning, Barb.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. And we also have Mo checking in with us this morning as well.
Hi, Mo.
Yeah. And Mo, this is early for you. I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning, bright and early over there on the West Coast. So Becky is already in sharing her gratitude this morning. She's grateful for my mom and sister and this amazing time together. Yeah, that's awesome.
I love that they are making memories.
Yeah, that is really special. Yeah, so everybody else, like Kylene said, pop your gratitude in here because here's the great part, right? Tanya shared what she was grateful for. Kylene shared what she was grateful for. Becky's now shared what she was grateful for throughout that entire process, right? Kylene said, "Oh, technology." Yep. Tanya, tools. Up. Yep. Right. Time with family. Becky says, right. And I just feel myself, right, just kind of lifting up, and that's exactly. Yep. And I don't always want to go like that. Maybe like this. I've been doing this a lot lately, but no, that's awesome. So real quick for me, what I'm grateful for is just this. I loved what I was doing with Small Business Saturdays. It was really kind of fulfilling for me and whatnot, but there was a piece missing, and I realized what that piece missing was, and that was the inspiration of this Fab Four. I pinch myself each time we do this going, how am I so lucky to be able to be here? So I'm grateful for Tanya and Kylene and Becky doing the work that she did because she's got a segment, and even though she's on vacation, she's still going to deliver today. So Yeah, definitely. So, all right. Well, great. You guys have anything else that you are grateful for? As far as I'm talking to you guys, the viewers out there that are tuned in live, we want to get your gratitude here. Becky said, heading to breakfast and looking forward to watching the replay. Have an amazing day. Absolutely, Becky. So enjoy. You can post gratitude in here anytime. We'll probably go, oh, squirrel, let's talk about that, because we love it so much. But in the meantime, you guys have another fantastic wellness toolbox prepared for us. Are you guys ready to dive into that toolbox and pull out another amazing tool here?
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Yeah.
All right, well, here we go.
Well, I am so excited about this one, and it's something that I try to do all the time. But it was really inspired by another MOS member because she posted something, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But it's about intention. And as I was like doing some research, intention means so many different things. So this week I'm doing my choose word of the day, but I'm also doing a choose word of the week. And so intention is that word for the entire week where I can focus on that, because I knew that I had a lot of stuff going on and I would intentionally need to do things. There's a few interpretations and they're all valid. What does it mean? We're going to get into that. Michelle, who is in our Masters of Success group, she put on one of our threads, big things don't happen overnight. It's the small things done consistently that make the big things possible. I am capable and I am worthy. And that really spoke to me, because whenever I've accomplished anything, it's by intentionally doing things, starting out small, but doing them consistently. So to me, small things done consistently is the epitome of utilizing intention. Thank you so much, Michelle, for inspiration on that topic. Kylene, can you talk about the power of intention?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. It is intention. I just want to cover that real quick. It is such a powerful thing that we can use in our life. And it is what creates that fulfilling life. So the power of intention really is the law of manifestation. Intention is part of that, right? That's how you activate it. So really for me, it's setting clear and specific intentions. So what is it that you want to accomplish? What's important to you? And aligning your thoughts and your emotions and your feelings and your environment and all the areas in your life, just kind of putting them in place for your success to reach whatever life it is that you want to achieve. So for me, truly, intention is that living in life in alignment. Everything's kind of in harmony and you're doing more of what's important to you. So it's essentially a purpose-filled life. It's life that's meaningful to you. So my intention and my purpose-filled life may be different than someone else's, and that's okay, but I'm in harmony myself. I think that's, to me, that's the power of intention. And I think it kind of goes in line with what you were saying, Tanya. So if anyone listening, please share what intention means for you in your life and how you use it and why you find it powerful.
And there's so many different ways that intention can be used. It can be, an overall broad manifestation thing, or it could be like a daily thing, setting your intentions so that you can move forward into what you need to accomplish to move yourself forward. And it's really super powerful, which I didn't realize until I actually started purposefully, intentionally doing it.
Yeah.
So using the power of intention also means deliberately thinking thoughts now of the future you want, which is also called manifesting. Some people that I talk about manifesting, they're just like, oh my gosh, you're talking that hoodoo voodoo stuff again. But it's so true. If you are thinking positive things or thinking like what you want the outcome to be, you're far more likely to achieve those things rather than being stuck in the mud and being negative. And then you're going to get negative. What you think is what you're going to get. And it can start off small. I liken it to, I'm going to intentionally move today. And that might mean that I walk for 10 minutes and then tomorrow I walk for 15, and I just build on that. Slow doses of intention add up. It doesn't mean you have to go do an hour at the gym at a time and kill yourself, because you're not going to sustain that. I think intention also helps with sustainability in life.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is those small changes and those little shifts that you make in your life. And then over time, it gently, or gradually, I should say, builds and creates that life that you're desiring. I mean, I think you're a perfect example of the transformation that you have done in over a year. Because you started this before everything. You started making these hard changes and just really getting back to what's important to you. What do you want out of your life? I know for me, it's really given me that direction, because I find that when I'm not intentional with what I'm doing, that's when life just starts happening to me and not for me. I'm not in that place of attracting the things that are going to lead me to where I want to go, because I'm not paying attention to it. So when you're intentional, you're very purposeful in what you want. And that's truly where that power lies. I believe, and that's that personal growth that we have inside of all of us.
Yes. And a great example is, if I don't have an intention for the day or the week or whatever, it's really easy to just sit down and binge watch Netflix for the day. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, now I'm really far behind because I made this choice. Yeah. And if I would have just chosen intention, I could have spent a little bit of time doing something and then still felt accomplished while being able to binge watch some things too. It doesn't mean you can never do anything fun. It just means that you need to be more accountable with your time and things like that to move forward with your goals.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I did want to share too. It can be very challenging when you're making these changes in your life, even if you're starting small. Sometimes those small changes can feel still really big to you, because it's been that habit that you've created in your life. And you are wanting something different. So to get something different, you have to do something different. At least that's what Erin tells me all the time.
Absolutely.
And I am a creature of habit for sure. So sometimes these changes that you put in your life can be really uncomfortable, but trusting and having that clear purpose. What is it that I'm here for? What are my true gifts? And coming back then, just listening to what is your body saying? Like I say that in yoga all the time, quiet your mind, just listen to what's showing up for you. You have this moment where you can have that mind-body connection. Your body is going to tell you what it needs, what's happening. And once we learn to listen to those feelings that arise, listen to those sensations that are created, if it's not what you want, then let's do some things to kind of get yourself in that place where you can start having more. It looks like Erin had a meaning of what intention means for him. Intention means aligning your conscious with your subconscious. So that's your habits. So you can have what you want in life, business, etc. And no one else can change it or take it away. That's what it means to me. That's so powerful. It's so true. It is those habits, right? It's putting those small changes, like you said, Tanya, in place. So over time, you're creating this new habit that's fulfilling for you.
Yes. And it also helps with accountability, because you are consciously making decisions. You're choosing, I always say you choose what you need as often as you need it, but you're making choices. Do I want to binge watch something, or do I want to go to the gym? Do I want to binge watch something, or do I want to work on my marketing plan? And for me, even though I still struggle with it, even though I work on this all the time, it really helps put things in perspective so I can do more focus than what I had done in the past. And I often fail, but I don't call it failure. I call it learning.
Yeah.
So I think intention is extremely, extremely powerful. It's a great tool for personal growth. And it pushes you to check in with yourself and get clear on what you really want. And it helps with decision making too, because as you practice it, you get more of a clue of, okay, yep, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. I need to do this and not that, those types of things. So
yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it does. It's good for our mental health. It reduces our stress because you have your guide. You have, some people call it your North Star. You know the direction you're headed. So it eliminates, when you're clear about what you want, it kind of eliminates those decisions that can take up the space, going back and forth. Erin wrote, it's a design life. I like that. Like building a house. Blueprints are your intentions, so you end up with your dream house or life, not just something thrown together shack that will break down. That is so true. That's exactly what we're talking about and why it's such an important tool to incorporate in your life.
And I love this from Dean. It is not a failure. A winner is just a loser that tried one more time. Amen.
That's great. It's so true. That's awesome. So it just allows us to be more present with ourself, with our life, with the people that we interact with, because we're being more authentic to who we are. And that goes in line with what we're creating in our life. It could, like I said, or we said at the beginning, it's all the areas of your life, but especially if you're building a business, you want to show up authentically, because your message is going to get lost. And I learned that the hard way starting out, when I wasn't truly connected with my why. My message wasn't clear, and therefore I wasn't being intentional with what I was offering. And then people don't build that trust with you and understand what you're trying to share. I don't know if you've experienced that, Tanya.
I have, because there are times even now where, I kind of get, we've talked about this, I kind of get derailed because, like, even within my company, we don't always have the same vision. And then I get really frustrated and then feel bad. So I'm getting better about recognizing, nope, it's not a failure on my part. It's a failure on the communication part. And we just need to get it closed in a little bit and be heading down the same road instead of someone getting off at an off ramp.
Yep.
In the middle of nowhere. So
yeah.
It's really powerful. And I know that sometimes it can seem daunting to utilize intention, but literally it's a matter of choosing. And, I have these choose boards, and this week I'm doing my weekly intention. So choose intention every day. And then every day I'm choosing a word. Yesterday was calm. I haven't chosen one today yet because it's early yet, but calm is still a really good one because there's been a lot going on this week. And just by having this visual has been an incredibly powerful tool that has like broken it down for me just a little bit so that it's not overwhelming. So it's like recognizing those tools and figuring out a way to make them work in your life.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. I'm glad you showed that, because that is a tool that we can use, so grab your choose board. Ours should be arriving here soon. I'm excited. Yay. And, but it's like you can create a vision board. You can have what is the life you're designing. That's your vision board that you could create. You write down your intention for the day like that. So when you put it in a place that you're constantly reminded, okay, this is where I'm going. This is what I want to achieve, instead of all the chaos that can happen throughout the day. And then that takes over. You have that reminder right there next to you. And I think that if anyone can leave with any kind of tools, it would be, the power of just writing down your intention and having it someplace where you can see it. And then having your grand blueprint, as Erin said, for your life, have that vision board, take the time to understand.
The other thing is just checking in the morning and making a plan today for the day. And I really like the rule of 5 that Erin has put out there, just 5 things. And then if you get those done, you can add on. But to me, it's lessening overwhelm and taking things in small chunks, because if there's like all these things, I get into the sky is falling mode, and then I absolutely get 0 done. So I'd rather focus on intentionally doing small things and getting them wiped out. So
yes.
So powerful tool. I'm glad we talked about it this week.
Yes, it's a great topic. And thank you again, Michelle, for inspiring this topic. Wendy wrote, morning coffee in hand and ready to learn from some wonderful giving people. Good to see you on here, Wendy.
So in the comments, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just, mouth just started going.
I don't stop sometimes. So you just sometimes you have to do it.
In the comments, tell us what one thing is that you could intentionally do today to make your day better. And it could be anything, no judgment here. We would love to read them. That's kind of all I have for the day. Do you have anything else on intention that you want to cover, Kylene?
No, I just think that if people can, obviously gratitude comes into play here, appreciating that you have the ability to choose how you show up for yourself, and creating that life for yourself, your business, that whatever it is that you're creating, create that purposeful life for you. And it can start with just writing it down and being very clear with what it is that you want to achieve, and then reminding yourself of that throughout the day. I think is really important.
And a lot of these tools go hand in hand, which I also love too. So if you're winning at one of them, chances are that you're winning at multiple things, and that's something to celebrate. Celebrate all the wins,
Yes, most definitely. Well, Tanya, this was awesome. Thank you. I really love talking to you about all of this stuff, and it's great to hear from all of you that are listening.
Yeah.
We do have a quick video that I wanted to share, and it goes along with intention. It's intentional movement to quiet your body and your mind and create that harmony again. And so I wanted to share that with you all here today.
Wow.
I love that music on there. That always makes me smile. So I wanted to share that because I truly want to share this gift that I have of yoga with anyone who wants to try it. See if it's for you. It is for all ability levels. So if yoga is something brand new to you, just try it out. See what you think. I'm going to guide you through it. But it is that chance just to quiet your mind, strengthen your body, create that focus and intentionality in your life. Love that. Quiet your mind. Thank you, Mo. Go ahead.
I just want to add something to that. Kylene created chair yoga because I asked her to. And she did it at a point in my life where I was very immobile. The last couple of years, I had gained a lot of weight. I had a lot of health issues. And I really accredit yoga and Kylene's guidance to me, rebuilding strength and flexibility and balance and being in touch with my body. And even though I've done all these other things, yoga was really the first thing that I was having success with and that I continue to have success with. And when I miss a class, I really miss it. And I really encourage everyone, do a Zoom call, a Zoom yoga lesson with Kylene. They are magic.
Oh, thank you, Tanya.
It's
been awesome to see your progression, but you were intentional with it. This was something important to you, and so you've been committed to it. So I think that shows what we're talking about, right? You've
Yes.
created this habit in your life now, and you've found the benefits for you.
Yep. Wonderful. So go to riseshinesmile.com to check that out. And because what you guys, that was amazing, incredible, the whole thing. Because the reality is you guys are giving those tools. I love that you added that at the end there, Tanya, that they all kind of work together, right?
Mhm.
Because you got to be intentional about, okay, yep, I could sit on the couch and binge Netflix, like you said, or I could take a moment and go, how can I move better? How can I feel better?
Mhm.
Intentionally quiet my mind, be able to move better. Kylene also is doing a local, in-person yoga event here coming up at the end of October locally. And I shared it on my Facebook page. And I just said, I challenge you to, for any of you that thinks yoga is not for you, I challenge you to just show up for this. There's no cost to do it. Just show up for it. And then afterwards, tell me that yoga is not for you. It just, we get this thing in our brain about what yoga means. And I know for me, I had that, right? I'm not worried about touching my toes. I'm trying to get past my knees. So yoga is not, for me, I was like, oh my God, I was intimidated, but I'm fortunate to have Kylene around. So it really helps a lot. And so you guys have access to her too.
Yes.
And it's amazing how by intentionally even trying for a few minutes, the gains that you'll see. I can now balance and do all the things that were really, really hard at first. And I'm like, I'm never going to get this, but you really do it. And you can celebrate that too.
Yeah. That's key word there. Celebrate it. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So you guys had asked, something that people could do to be intentional this week. And Wendy put in here, take pictures of my remaining flowers to get me through the winter. Yep. I love it. Yeah. Wendy's got such a green thumb. I need to learn from her.
Can you come visit us, Wendy?
Yeah. We know.
My thumb is this color.
Mine's typically more of a purple, I believe, so because it's bruised. I love it. Okay, well, that was wonderful, you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all those tools, and what I loved too that you guys laid out is the fact that just being intentional, right? This concept itself is extremely simple. There's no special abilities that I have to have. It's being intentional. So you have your, so it's just that execution side of it that we have to, get tools to keep that in front of us. The choose board, the yoga to quiet your mind, because you can't intentionally set up your life when your brain is going a bazillion miles an hour and you're sore and you're in pain. And right. And so adding a tool like yoga will help you be more intentional about your life and things like that. So, wonderful stuff. Now we've talked, obviously our Fab Four is short one here, and Becky's already been in the comments. She's off to breakfast and we'll check the replay, but she was very intentional about her segment in the very first show. Barb, who I think might still be along, Barb tuned in, had asked the question about copyrights and trademarks. And so Becky was intentional. We got a guy that some of you might know from my Two Regular Guys podcast. I've sucked him into our industry. I met him in person not too long ago, and I said, I'm sorry. And he's all right, good. You get it. You get the people here. But so Becky recorded an interview with him to talk a little bit about copyrights and trademarks. So a little quick segment. So if you guys are ready for that, I will get it rolling here.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Here today, we had a question in regards to trademarking and copyright. And so I have Gordon here. Gordon, will you give a little rundown on who you are and what you do?
Great. Hi, Becky. Yeah, I am Gordon Firemark. I am a lawyer. I do business, media, and entertainment law in Los Angeles, California, and really all over the world nowadays. And intellectual property is a big part of that. So I'm delighted to be here to talk about copyrights and trademarks and those kinds of things.
Well, we are super excited to have you here. So, we had come up with just a couple questions for you, and we'll see what you can give us. So, first one is what are the key steps involved in trademarking a business name and logo, and why is it important for entrepreneurs and businesses to consider this process?
Well, let's start by explaining what a trademark is and then how one goes about getting one, essentially. So, a trademark is a distinctive word or phrase or symbol or design or some kind of a mark that is affixed to goods or services and is there as an identifier of the source of who's responsible for these goods and services. Um, think of a trademark, another word is brand. And if you think of where the term brand comes from, back in the Old West, they would, sear a symbol into the side of a cow to tell you which ranch it came from. That's what trademark is, a distinctive symbol attached to goods to show you where it came from. So getting a trademark is a matter of adopting a distinctive brand or symbol and starting to use it in interstate commerce to identify your goods and services. That's step one. Choose wisely, and it's important to make sure that it is in fact distinctive. That is different and sets it apart from the other things in the marketplace, as well as that it's not merely descriptive or generic. Just baskets.com wouldn't be necessarily very good as a trademark, but the weave or something like that might be distinctive for a store that sells baskets, as an example. I don't know why I went to basket weaving, but that's where I always go.
All good.
So once you've adopted it, you got to do a search and make sure you're not conflicting with anybody else, because the nature of trademark infringement is that there's some likelihood of confusion. And this is all about protecting consumers against just that confusion. It's not about protecting the brand. It's about making sure consumers are informed and able to make their choices wisely. Once you have determined that there's nothing else out there from doing some searching, then you can apply to register for your trademark protection at the federal level. Now, there is a certain level of protection before registration under the common law, and each state has its own rules a little bit about that. But at the federal level, you can register so that you cover the whole United States, and you can even register in other countries as well in order to get that protection. And the registration process is it's sort of time consuming. Well, I shouldn't say it's time consuming for us when we do it. It just takes a long time. So we fill out an application, submit a filing fee, and we apply for protection in each of the classes of goods or services that our particular use falls. So, medical devices is one class, and chewing gum falls in a different, and t-shirts in yet another, and so on.
The next question we had for you was, can you explain the difference between the trademark, copyright, and patent, and how entrepreneurs should determine which type of protection is most suitable for their intellectual property?
Yeah. So all of these are in that umbrella term, intellectual property, which really talks about or addresses various kinds of protections for the results of our intellectual effort, our mental, brain, and creative power. We call it the products of the mind, essentially. So a trademark, as I said, is really that brand, that distinctive word or symbol or whatever that's affixed to goods. Copyright is a protection for authorship, works of original authorship, expression of ideas, can be protected. The author is entitled to exclusive rights to their work, their original material, for a limited period of time. It's not that limited. It's 70 years after a person dies is when that expires and things fall into the public domain. A lot of confusion about that for older works that last for 95 years fixed and things like that, but that's basically it. So copyright protects original works of authorship and expression, things like photos, text, recordings, films, sculptures, paintings, all those kinds of things. And patent is for inventions, some kind of a process or system, or certain kinds of designs can be patentable if they're really unique and non-obvious. That is, that nobody else has done this before, and it's not the kind of thing that would just naturally occur to people to make happen. So those are the three core kinds of intellectual property. There's one fourth one that we always lump in with intellectual property, although technically it's not, and that is trade secrets. A trade secret is some piece of information or know-how or knowledge that is valuable because it's not generally known to the public. So the things like the recipe for original Coca-Cola, as an example, if anybody could find that recipe and make their version of Coca-Cola, the brand of Coca-Cola wouldn't be as strong as it is. People would, there would be 12 different varieties of cola that all taste the same. So it's a trade secret and it's kept under wraps. The way you protect your secrets is keep them secret and use non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality clauses in contracts and things to make sure that when you are sharing it with somebody, they're not allowed to share it further.
Wow. Wonderful. Good to know. I did not know that, the end part there. So, and I think we have a little extra time here today. So we have one more we're going to ask you here. And it says, what are the common pitfalls or mistakes that businesses make when it comes to trademark registration? How can entrepreneurs avoid them to ensure the long-term protection of their brand identity?
Well, I love this question. Thank you for asking it. The biggest mistake people make is waiting too long before they start the process. And I have a little anecdote I'll tell you. A client of mine, podcaster, longtime podcaster, he's been in it since the very early days of podcasting. And he had a great title for his show that used a very catchy, buzzwordy kind of a thing that really set him apart and stood out. And he's been podcasting for 15 years or more, and finally comes to me and says, "You know what? I think I better protect this title." And it turns out the reason was someone else had adopted a title very similar, but used that same buzzword in the title. And when we went and investigated, we actually discovered that there were two other people using that same word in their title. And we filed an application, but by the time we did, they had already filed an application for their trademark. Now, trademark rights come from first use, but once that application was in the process, it basically forced everything to come to a screeching halt with our registration until theirs is final. And they had applied on a basis of an intent to use, not actual use. And so the trademark doesn't actually get issued until they put it into use. But all this time, while these other folks are getting ready to start their podcast, we have to sit around waiting before we can do anything about it. And my client will eventually prevail and will get the trademark canceled or something like that so my client can register his. But all of that would have been avoided if he had registered early. So that's the biggest mistake. Don't wait too long. Second mistake is choose a distinctive title, not something that's purely descriptive, like I was saying earlier, because it won't be registrable and you have to wait a long time to build up that sort of secondary meaning in the mind of the public to qualify as a trademark. And then the other mistake would be being under-inclusive, not registering in all the classes of goods and services that you're actually going to be doing business. The flip side of that is, of course, you can find yourself in trouble and getting canceled if you've registered too broadly and then you're really only selling one or two goods. So it makes sense to use a lawyer. You can do this yourself, but it really does make sense to at least consult with someone to make sure you're doing it right.
Absolutely. That is wonderful. Do you have anything else that you would like us to know or that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, I think that really the best thing I can say about any kind of business adventure is go in and don't be afraid to start ugly, to fail upward, fail forward a little bit, because nothing is perfect from when you get out the gate. You've got to start and try and reiterate and figure things out and develop systems and processes, and it's the nature of the game. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to start.
Wonderful. That leads into a lot of things we've been talking about in some masterminds in the last couple of weeks. So wonderful. I love to hear that. So Gordon, we have your website there underneath you. That's the best way to get a hold of you, or? Yeah,
you can come to gordonfiremark.com or firemark.com, which is more oriented at my law practice. And if folks are interested in trademark stuff particularly, you can go to firemark.com/trademarks. Make sure you include the S in there, trademarks. And I've got a little information, and you can set up a free consultation to talk to me.
That sounds great, Gordon. Well, we appreciate having you here this morning, and hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Becky. It's been fun.
Okay, you guys. So I just wanted to jump in here real quick to close this out. Gordon, great. The reason that we didn't post the Firemark dash trademarks is he's still working on that site. He wasn't sure when this was going to play. So he told us that as soon as that is up and available, he will let us know and we will get that shared. And again, as I mentioned in the comments here before, he is very accessible. You know, he's not going to bill you per hour, just to reach out and he'll do a free consult with you and tell you what he can and can't help you with if you've got questions about certain things. So, you know, I would just highly encourage you to go over there to firemark.com and get in touch with Gordon. And he is a fantastic guy and really giving of his time and, you know, a true professional when it comes to knowing what's going on with copyrights and trademark stuff. So I'm glad to have him. All right. Well, before we get into Uncommon Mindset, I'm just going to run a quick little thing for any of you that are not our Success Group members. Check this out, and then we'll be back with Uncommon Mindset here. So let's get that going here. As a small business owner, the journey can often feel overwhelming. It can feel like you're overworked, underappreciated, and alone. At our Success Group, we guide you to uncover the fundamentals necessary for success and lead you to fall in love with your business. We provide the foundational support and guide you towards a business that you love, not just a job that you dread. With OSG, we tackle aligning your business with your reason or purpose, defining a pricing strategy tailor-made for your business, and pave the way for you to identify your ideal customer. This is just scratching the surface. The mindset shift we provide is the game changer. We're here to support you every step of the way. Take a chance on yourself, trust in your potential, and let OSG guide your first steps towards lasting fulfillment. Go to osg.link/try-OSG. All right, you guys. Well, check that out. I am excited to bring you guys the Uncommon Mindset. So let's hit that intro and then we'll get into it. I got out of order. I was so excited about all of the great tools that we shared and a little nervous about following all that up. So here we go. All right, I should have had the Fab 3 in here, but I'm excited to hear what their thoughts are on all this once we get done. All right, Uncommon Mindset this week. This is the third week of our series about working on your business versus working in your business. And over the past 2 weeks, we've been diving deep into the concept of working on your business. And I'm curious, for those of you that my son's heading off to school. Goodbye, son. I'm curious for those of you that are tuned in live right now and have had a chance to check out the previous 2 episodes, either live or on replay. What's been your biggest takeaways so far as we've discussed working on your business versus working in your business? I'm curious to hear that. Would love to discuss that if that's something that you, what are your big takeaways there? I think obviously this ties in really well to what Kylene and Tanya talked about today with being intentional, right? And that's kind of what ultimately, when we simplify this down, that's what we're all about. So we've kind of been exploring, just to kind of give a recap of the last 2 weeks, how being too engrossed in the day-to-day can kind of blind us from the bigger picture. We've also discussed about how dedicating even a small amount of time to working on your business can really net you a significant amount of time and energy back, right? It seems very counterintuitive, but last week we really explored how, working on our business can actually give us time back to be able to better work in our business, or hey, have a life outside of our business, right? That's the ultimate goal, is to have a balanced life and a fulfilling life. And so with my mission to inspire you to fall in love with your business, I believe that this working on piece is such a key element, and that's why I chose this to kick off our OSG Live series. working on just frees you up from being a slave to your business, and it enables that more balanced and fulfilled life, and it gets your time back and allows for that sustainable growth. So I see we've got a few comments in here, so let's touch on those. Thank you very much. Rena says, catching the tail end. Good morning. And this is from Tanya, I believe. I've found that I am more aware of what I'm doing and reflecting on how, yep, it is from Tanya. I didn't read far enough ahead. I found out that I'm more aware what I'm doing and reflecting on how I can make shifts to increase working on my business. That's awesome. Thank you, Tanya, for sharing that. Really good. All right. If anybody else has them, again, I will come and chase that squirrel. So, all right. So we looked at some practical examples last week, and we, things like refining your marketing groundwork to implementing, we called them administrative efficiency tools. Just how can we get better at the working in? So again, what is the most important piece that you've implemented, right? So maybe what you took away from those conversations over the last 2 weeks, but what have you implemented? This is where the rising tide lifts all boats. When you guys are sharing the things that you're implementing to be more intentional, to choose to, clearly understand what your North Star is and work on your business. When you share that, right, that gives other people ideas and perspectives. So I'm highly encouraging you guys to get in here, get active, tell us what you've been doing to implement more working on your business. And so when we choose this mindset, right, it allows our business to not just survive, but also to thrive, right? And Tanya shares, delegate more, even when I want to be in control. And I think that is such a huge perspective for everybody to take in, right? How can we delegate more? How can we outsource a little bit here and there, right? Success is a team sport, and it, it's that lack of control that we are worried about. But the reality is we just have to be able to set better expectations and then have that intention of, what are the outcomes that you expect? That way you're still managing it, you're still in control of it, but you don't have to do all of it. So that's wonderful, Tanya. Thank you for sharing that. So to close out this week, to close out the series here, I want to really start thinking about how we can better implement the ideas that we've talked about here, right? What will we be doing to make sure that we're working on our business and really kind of make that a non-negotiable part of what being a business owner means? So, I want you guys to think about that question, right? Just ponder that and come back to when we close this out here and share what you're going to be doing, but be thinking about that. What will I do, right? I'm going to share some different techniques, some different ideas. And then you guys can kind of take from that and go, okay, here's how I work. I like that idea. I'm going to take this idea that Tanya shared. I'm going to take this idea that Kylene mentioned, right? All that kind of stuff. So one of the first things that we need to do when we're talking about working on our business is this needs to be something that we schedule in our calendar as time blocks, right? And then taking that another step further is making a public declaration of your intention, right? So for example, in my own personal mastermind group that I'm in, I said I need to be intentional about working on the business. So I'm going to set up a co-working, right? And I'm going to put it on the calendar, and here's what I'm going to work on. And so that was scheduled, right? Now, whether anybody showed up to that co-working or not, that didn't matter. It was the fact that it was on my calendar. It popped up. Brain goes up. It's time to be intentional about this, right? And so it's doing that. Another idea here is setting up some reward systems for yourself when you work on your business, right? So maybe we are drawn to when Kylene and Tanya were talking about intentionality, maybe we are drawn to, oh my God, there's this Netflix series I really want to watch. Okay. You can only do that, Aaron. You can watch one episode once you've done X, Y, or Z, right? That kind of thing. So getting accountability is another tool that we can use, right? In the form of a mastermind, in the form of an accountability partner, in the form of, making a public declaration. Maybe it's just posting it on social media saying, I'm going to do this, right? When you've put that out there in front of your friends and family, guess what? Our brain goes, oof, yeah, I know it's attractive to want to go and sit down and just, watch the show or whatever it is. But the reality is I put that out there. Now I'm accountable to that, right? So let's keep exploring it, implementing these ideas. As most of you guys might know about me, is I really like simple. And I truly believe that success, the processes are simple, right? We don't need to create these complex, overdone, and I have a tendency to look at things and want to overdo them. And so that's why I think I've really truly latched on to this fact that success is simple. When I come back to the basics, when I come back to the groundwork, the foundation, success is very simple at its core. It's just the implementation that's not always easy. And one of the big reasons that implementation is not always easy is because we're not 100% committed to it, right? The phrase that my mentor, Jack Canfield, always says is 100%'s a breeze, 99%'s a witch with a bee. Thank you for that one, Tanya. So to make this easy, I thought to myself, how can I simplify this, right? I'm a data hipster, right? I like a good spreadsheet. So is there a formula that I can create for myself that will work? And I've discovered that if I can just be 100% committed to 15% of my time that I have available to me to work inside of my business, if I can just dedicate 15%, that's it. It's not 50%. It's not 95%. It's not even, in this case, 100%. I just need to 100% commit to only 15% of my time. Can I do that? I think so, right? So if I dedicate that 15% to working on our business, how does that formula work, right? So maybe your business is your full-time source of income. You're grinding really hard right now. You've got a lot going on. You spend a lot of hours working, and you're putting in 80 hours a week, right? Double the normal 9-to-5 job kind of scenario, right? So if that's the case for you, if you've got 80 hours a week that you're committing to your business, then can you commit 12 of those hours, just 12 out of the 80, to working on your business, right? Or maybe you're on the flip side of that, right? This is a side hustle, or you've got a day job and you're trying to make this business into a full-time thing, but right now you only have 20 hours a week that you can dedicate to your business, right? So with that formula, 3 hours, that's all we need, just 3 hours. Can you pick out 3 hours out of the course of a week if you can dedicate 20 hours to work on your business, right? And that's over the course of a week. So it could be an hour on Monday, an hour on Wednesday, an hour on Friday, or it could be 3 hours on Saturday, or it could be 30 minutes spread out, or it could be 15 minutes spread out, right? However that works for you, that doesn't matter. Just commit 15% of your time to it. And projects like brainstorming new strategies or any other big picture task are working on your business. In fact, we can cover the 4 that we talked about last week: the marketing groundwork, who's your ideal customer, and what's your brand values, right? And then things like improving your policies, right? We're getting into the fourth quarter busy season. For anybody that's tuned in, do your customers know when your cutoff date is, right? Well, work on that and work on that policy so you can communicate it effectively and not from a point of like yelling at your customers, right? Like, I'm doing this for you so you have the best experience. So let me craft my policy. Let me craft the way I'm going to share that with you. The administrative efficiency tools that I mentioned earlier, right? How can I order quicker? Do I need to get a VA in here? Do I need to set up better processes? I was talking with somebody yesterday about the fact that just setting up a Zapier automation saves me a bunch of time, right? And it took me 30 minutes to set it up, but then it saves me 30 minutes a day probably just by being able to go do, and I don't have to worry about it. And that happens in the background for me. And then just business planning, right? What is your North Star? What are the goals? What is point A to point B, right? Most of the time, our business, we don't know what point B is, but we spend all this time trying to get from point A to point B, but yet we have no idea what point B is. And so we're never going to get there if we don't know where it is, right? So let me just break this down a little bit further, and then we're perfect on time here, so we'll be able to wrap this up. But okay, so let's just look at this. If you're somebody that has a day job or somebody that's worked for somebody in the past, right? Typically a full-time job, they ask you to commit 40 hours a week to that job, to that employer, right? That's kind of what that employer requires of you. And those that have done that or have been down that road, that 40 hours, right, is unfortunately, when you look back on it, that 40 hours a week that you put in was allowing you the opportunity to build somebody else's business, right? And so if you leave that day job and now you have that 40 hours back to work on your business, right? To work your business, then the working on part of that 40 hours is 6 hours a week, right? Or if you break that down, 51 minutes a day, right? And that's not small, but it's not out of alignment with what you're actually doing, right? And because I know some of you, as you think about this, and I've been talking about this for 3 weeks, are probably still going, Aaron, I don't have time for that. Where am I going to come up with this magical 6 hours you keep talking about, or the 3 hours, or the 8 hours, or this 15% of time? I can't just create 15% of time out of thin air. Well, guess what? You just picked what your first working on project is. Right. You just pointed that out. So if you're that person going, I don't know where I'm going to get this time, guess what? The first project you should focus on and spend 51 minutes a day doing, or however that works out for you, is take a look at your jam-packed day in 2-week chunks, right? Do a time study. Time study is really just a fancy way of saying track everything that you do throughout the course of your day for 2 weeks, categorize those things, and then look at what you can get rid of. Look at what you can delegate. Look at what you're doing that you don't have to do, right? It's that concept of just because it's always the way I've done things doesn't mean it's not something I need to change, right? Or a harder way to say that is just because that's the way we've always done something doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid, right? And this is, those of you who've heard me talk about the running of the bulls, right? Somebody deciding to put themselves in the way of a really pissed off bull makes no sense to me, right? But yet they've been doing it for hundreds of years, right? So think about how you're doing that in your business, right? So that's it. That's your first working on project. And if you can do that, then guess what? You're going to get those 15%, that 6 hours a week, that 51 minutes a day back. And because you're going to see there's plenty of busy work tasks or things where, right, I think I'm spending 30 minutes a day on social media doing my posting and things like that. But after I did this time study, I realized I'm actually spending 3 hours a day on that. So there's an hour and a half right there that you can get back, right? And maybe you take back a half hour of that time, and then you put the hour of time at the end of the day when you're winding down to just kind of check in, right? Or something like that. Being intentional about, this ties it perfectly into what Tanya and Kylene were talking about. Being intentional is so crucially important. So, just to kind of wrap this up, I want to give you the final piece de resistance, so to speak. This concept of 15% of your time is, I talked about time blocks already, and that you add it to your calendar. And so this is very, very important. And so that's why I already talked about it, but I want to kind of give you just one more nugget on that here before I close out. So find that time in your calendar. Here's the deal. Make that a set time. Right. And make it like it's an appointment that you hold with the most important person in your life, because honestly, it is, right? It just happens to be you, and you need to be the most important person in your life. So whoever the most important figure is, right? Or maybe it's, not anymore, but maybe it's the president. I don't know, right? Whoever it is, whoever you hold up to this really high standard, maybe, Dalai Lama, Jesus, God, whatever. Pretend like it's an appointment with them. Would you just go, I've got other things to do. Sorry. Right? No. What I want you to do is I want you to set that appointment and make it that important, be 100% committed to it. And if for whatever reason something does come up, life does happen, right? Then you own the responsibility for rearranging your schedule and making sure that doesn't go away. And there you go. So what are you going to be working on? Rena says time blocking, making that a habit. I'm going to bring back in Tanya and Kylene, because I know that Kylene's actually got to run. So I'm going to bring them back in here real quick. And Kylene, I know you have to run. So can you just share anything that stood out to you real quick?
I just really liked how you broke it down, and you kind of showed how it truly is achievable. And then your Zapier reference that you used, how it did take, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, right, to create this Zap, if you will.
Yeah.
But in the end, it saves you how much time every day.
Yeah.
So kind of coming back to the importance of just being committed to creating these lasting changes that can really get you back to that life of fulfillment, right? That purpose-filled life, that purpose-filled business, creating it something meaningful for you. So I loved it. It inspired me. It wants me to, I want to schedule on my calendar now the time that I'm going to commit to moving forward.
Wonderful. All right.
Yeah,
Well, Kylene, I know you got to run, so we'll let you off the hook, and Tanya, if you have to run too, we'll be fine. But all right, cool.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Tanya. Tanya. Bye, Kylene. Man, I'm all flustered now. Okay. Well, now I can't wait. Good. Tanya, you had some great comments in there earlier. Yeah. Give me what you're thinking there.
Oh, so much good stuff. I know that I get sometimes in over my head with all the different things that we do, and I tend to work in my business more. And so just making those conscious efforts to find, a few minutes here and there, it goes back to the intention. You don't have to do everything all at once. You can do it 10 minutes at a time. You can make those choices over and over. And that's why I'm so passionate about choose. Mm-hmm. And ICE stands for inspire, collaborate, and encourage. And those are three of my love languages. Uh-huh. And that's why I love so much about the fact that we're all doing this podcast together, because it's so much more fulfilling than when I was doing it on my own.
Yeah. I said that in my gratitude. So I'm mm-hmm. so appreciative that all ties back together. Yes. And I love that. So good. Yeah. It really is kind of interesting how simple the process really is, mm-hmm. but just how difficult it can be to implement. And I think, even what we talked about here, you getting to come in and do this with us, me getting to come in and do this with you guys, both of those sides of things, right? Separately, it was great, right? It was fine. It was really good. Your programs were super, right? And I was really proud of the things that I was doing with Small Business Saturdays, but together it's so much more, and it makes it so much easier, right? Because now we're not carrying all the weight. I've got, yes, I want to get ready, and we all spend time getting prepared before, and we want to bring the best information. Becky took time to record with Gordon. Mm-hmm. You and Kylene have like I love the content that I get to see in the background, and then when you guys share it, I'm like, yep, oh man, so good, right? And I've got my stuff, but the reality is, it's just an easier weight to carry. So I think that's also really important for people to understand, is that you don't have to go it alone. Right. There are communities out there. There are groups out there. We obviously would love to see you guys inside of the Our Success Group community, but there's people out there that are willing to help you if you're willing to be open to that. Right. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that I've noticed is people just don't engage. They don't put themselves out there. It's too scary for whatever reason. I don't think I'm scary, but maybe
I was just going to say that fear is often a big motivator for people. People get in their heads and it's like, well, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to, sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, whatever. And there are times when I show up to our master's group and I'm just like, I really don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to word vomit on you all, and then you guys can help me out. And it's amazing. And it seems so much less intimidating and more manageable when you have positive, like-minded people around you.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. All right. Let me grab a couple of comments here real quick. Jerry says, stick to a schedule, same as many do each day at a normal day job. Absolutely. Trying to create that. It's interesting because, you look at certain people out there and you kind of go, but like a Mark Zuckerberg, for example, right? He wears the same thing almost every day. Right. And it's not because he's super cool or anything like that. It really was because it was just one other thing that he didn't have to manage. Right. And so looking at that, I'm not saying you have to wear the same thing every day, but the reality is just how can you make every little thing that you do a little bit easier? If you get into like I think it's Tim Ferriss that does the 4-hour work week or something like that, whatever that is. Right. A lot of it is really just setting up ways to make it easier to manage everything. And then again, you've got to be intentional about that to set that up. Like I talked about with the Zapier thing, I had to actually sit down and really think about how I wanted it to work and make sure I didn't leave any errors in the way. So that way, I wasn't accidentally not doing what I committed to doing. But at the end of it, after doing a little bit of testing and spending about 30 minutes making it work, now I don't have to worry about that anymore. It actually happens for me in the background, right? And so that's what working on your business is all about in my mind. So go ahead, Tanya.
Another great example of setting yourself up for success, I did it this week. I took some time on Sunday and meal prepped, which
Perfect.
It took time out of my Sunday, but I have breakfast, I have lunch, and I don't have to think about those things. I don't have to stop and be like, okay, what am I going to go grab that isn't going to be good for me? It's just here, and I can do that. And so that builds time back into my daily life by just taking a few hours out of my Sunday.
Yeah. What a great example. That's a perfect example. Love it. All right. Well, Tanya, can you close us up? I know you brought up ICE already, but give us a little more detail on that.
So ICE was my podcast, Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage. And I'm just really passionate about it. And so what are you going to ICE this week? Tell us in the comments, find that word. It also goes hand in hand with choose. And again, I'll show my board. I'm doing my weekly word, which is intention, and calm was yesterday, but it applies today too. Yeah. I'll probably do productivity because I have lots of screen printing to do today. And if you want one of those boards, I have them available in my store. It also has all kinds of affirmation items. And it's just something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I do believe that you can choose what you need as often as you need it. Even if you have to tell yourself to be happy every 5 minutes, then do that to get through hard situations.
Yep, absolutely. And I think in just kind of talking about that whole choose thing, Kylene and I have been having this conversation a lot for both of us, right? She's dealt with some things, and I'm trying to get myself over some humps too. And we were kind of talking about it in this way, right? This is present, right? But we choose because it's easier to be back here in the past and thinking about that and right. And there's nothing wrong with this side over here. Like you talked about earlier, there's so many learning opportunities, right? Things that we can improve on. But the reality is we just get over here and we stay in that, right? So what we really need to do is kind of stay up here, look back that way for things that we can improve on, but really have our focus be out into the future. And that's what choosing and being intentional and this whole collaboration is all about. So I'm excited to see that. If you go to osg.link/ICE, that'll take you directly over to your choose store there. I did want to share one other link here for people. We've got so many links and so many things happening, and I've had this there for a little bit, but I finally updated it. So if you go to oursuccessgroup.com/links, I'll also put it in the comments so you can just click directly on it if you're on YouTube there. And that way you can kind of go directly there. We've got most all of the links. I'll be adding one after we get done here. So commitments, what are we choosing this week? You said production was your choose word. Mine's going to be focus. I've got a trip coming up next week that I really am behind on. So I need to be focused on getting the right things done. So mine's going to be focused. My 100% commitment for the week, beyond that choose word, is I will wrap up working on a big workshop together for the Fundamentals of Business Success book. And I've got one more. It's a 12-week program, so 3 months. I've got one more month of the outline to finish up to get all the details in there. So that will be this week. And that will be done by the time, actually, it'll be done by the end of this week, but by the time we get back next Wednesday. So anything that's going on for you that you're going to commit to, that you're going to get done, and anybody in the comments, the same thing.
I am going to get my production all done because the plan is right now that we are going to Iowa on Saturday after my vendor show, and we'll be down there for a week. That could change depending on a couple of appointments, but I'm really hoping that we can make it down to Iowa. I'll still be working, but it's just a different atmosphere, and it's more working on my business because I'm not here to get distracted by by things that have to be done in the business.
There's just another fantastic idea out of you, Tanya. Thank you for that. You have a hard time working on your business, get up and go somewhere, be intentional. Right. And I love that you're going to Iowa. You know, that's, you know, you don't have to go to Iowa. You can, right. It's lovely there. I understand. But, you know, just to the coffee shop up the street, just, you know, outside or just pick up and take a notepad with you and go sit outside. Right. So that's really good stuff. Thank you. More golden nuggets, you guys. And then Michelle said she's going to have to watch the replay. Just got up because I didn't sleep well. Well, you definitely have to watch the replay, Michelle. Tanya and Kylene were talking about you in all the good ways. In all the good ways.
All good.
Yes, they were. Yes. So thank you, everybody. Tanya, anything else that we missed here before we close it out?
No, I think it was a great show, even though we were missing one. I'm glad that we still had a segment from her. But yeah, all good stuff.
Awesome. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. We will see you next Wednesday, bright and early. And Tanya and Kylene and Becky, great job.
Have a good one.